Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Walters, for your testimony. Truly, it has made a profound difference in such a way. I'm from North Carolina, long way away from Flint, Michigan. But in a way, we're connected. I got texts this morning from people who have been affected by Region 4, not Region 5, but with water quality issues for years and the EPA's failure to address them. Now, the troubling thing for me is that what I hear from our water quality EPA official is that they're going to just let the Office of Inspector General do their work. Now, the problem with that is, and I have high regard for that particular Inspector General. In fact, I can tell you, Ms. Walters, that they will continue to look at it in a very detailed way. But it will not be enough. There is more than enough blame to go around. The problem is there's not enough answers to be shared. And so I'm going to come to the EPA and ask you, since FOIA is under my subcommittee, and the FOIA request allows the public to look at documents, often used in a regular basis by reporters. And I'm troubled to hear that the FOIA request that Dr. Edwards has made actually, you haven't complied with the law. What do you say to that?
My understanding is that we're actively working to respond.
Active is not enough. Let me just tell you, we got families that are suffering, and there's a law that says that you have to respond within 21 days. So what do you say to Dr. Edwards, who's been requesting information? Because as I understand, Dr. Edwards, and if you will help me with this, that you've made requests both of the state and of the feds. Who has been more responsive to you, Dr. Edwards?
The state of Michigan has been very responsive.
And so how many documents of what you've requested from the EPA have you received to date?
I'd have to check, but I still have FOIAs outstanding from 9 years ago in Washington, D.C. That I appealed in 2005, and an attorney from EPA just contacted me 1 month ago about. So there's
9 years.
9 years.
Let me tell you the trouble that I have with this. We have a site in western North Carolina called CTS. You're familiar with that, I'm sure, aren't you?
I have heard about the site. I do not have direct personal knowledge about it.
Okay. I would ask, since you're new to the job, that you get some personal knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Because we have a reoccurring theme here. We have unbelievable regulations that come down, and then the EPA does not enforce their own regulations. There's a problem with that, don't you think?
It's important for EPA to enforce its regulations.
Can you share with me your rationale why it would take 9 years to answer a FOIA request for Dr. Edwards?
I have no idea. I'm not familiar with the specific request at issue.
What commitment do we have from you today to get those FOIA responses answered as it relates to the Flint, Michigan issue?
I will take that back and ensure that it gets.
Okay, you're going to take it back. When can this committee and when can Dr. Edwards expect a response? Is the law clear?
I believe that the law is clear on the timeframes for response. I will take that back and ensure that it's a high priority.
All right, so obviously you prepared for this hearing this morning. When you were talking about the information that needed to be shared with the people of Flint, what was your own internal guidance among your attorneys? A couple, I guess, are sitting behind you. What did they recommend that you share? Because what happens is everybody gets lawyered up, and then they do nothing. And I can tell you from a bipartisan standpoint, this Republican from western North Carolina is going to work with Democrats from Michigan to make sure that not only you're held accountable, but the state is held accountable, and all those who have been involved in this are held accountable, because we've got children. And it could have been my children in Flint, Michigan, and I'm not going to forget that. Could have been your children. So what kind of commitment do we have from you to get the documents to this committee so that we can figure out who's to blame.
My understanding is that there have been discussions between the committee staff and the agency, and that a commitment has been made to work expeditiously to get unredacted copies of certain FOIA documents that were released, as well as documents related to the committee's request.
So do you think that 60 days is enough time?
My understanding is that actually the agency has agreed to provide some documents that we can provide by the end of this week.
Very good. I yield back.